Smell of sweet victory. Today is a celebration day. Last week, the board had gotten together and they talked about removing the ASL classes. 3 school districts were offering it for 8th grade ASL classes. They're offering that for credit before you even get into high school. The school board had decided they didn't want it in middle school. They were going to remove the class. They still had Spanish and French, and they were going to continue with those. But ASL was going to be removed. They said, you know, it wasn't used worldwide to communicate. And ASL is not a spoken language, and it's not a written language. Oh, the deaf community in Rochester, oh, they came flowing to that meeting. There was 8 people plus students that took this on. And there was parents that had deaf kids. There was one family that had 4 hearing children that took the ASL class in middle school. They wanted to continue learning into high school. They wanted to become very skilled at ASL. You know, and the reading thing, I mean, that's a deaf culture thing. Without the reading, I mean, there's always stories and you have to listen, you know, but all these people came against the recommendation of the school board. They were supporting that the ASL class still continue. So they postponed the meeting, and then they just put it on pause, so to speak, and they kind of considered all the complaints and, you know, all the pros and cons. And there was one area that had many deaf parents and many deaf students. So there was a big fight over this situation. It actually ended up in the headlines, "District away the value of sign language classes." It ended up in the newspaper, front page. Students really wanted the class. They were really in support of, you know, the class to be able to communicate with the deaf families. And the interpreters agreed as well, you know, in general. And Gallaudet got involved in this and other areas around. And it really spread. It was almost like an international thing. They said, you know, if they learn early, they'll become much more skilled and will have better interpreters. So there was a big discussion, and then finally yesterday the vote was 6-0 in support of keeping ASL in the school. Before, you know, they were really thinking about, you know, removing the class, and then in the midst they were like, you know, half and half, 3-3, and then in the end, because of the community, it was 6-0. It was a really good model. That's a good model for your area. Does your area have ASL classes? If not, you should really, you know, encourage that and get those set up. It means more jobs are available for deaf people if more people know ASL. The more ASL classes that are offered out there, ASL using deaf people can get jobs easier. Perfect!